He wins when the family feels.
Blood of this shit, you know how I come when I come to the bitch. Got the streets in the lock, I cover this shit. Got the ball in my hand, I can't fumble this shit. I put no cut on this shit, I pop her ass to get me low. She don't pump me like a feast to break off, I keep it player. I got trip on me right now, I'm missing car with Chanel.
Organized crime operation. And it's happening right here in central Georgia.
Away tonight as 3 inmates are dead and a correctional officer injured.
Now hitting me, how dangerous it really was, how much worse it could have been.
But she says something felt off when she saw guards bolt out of the visitation area Sunday afternoon, leaving one female officer inside.
Something going on. We heard very loud, almost yelling coming from the walkie-talkies. You could hear her say, "Don't open that door, you can't come in here."
Shouting, telling them to get out. The witness says the group overpowered a guard, taking his keys to then break into the visiting room.
The prisoners that were trying to come through the door were right behind her, hot on her heels, because there's blood and weapons, and they just busted through a door.
On bus station where they were
set to have a family reunion on Wednesday. They had it all planned out. Jimmy Trammell, he was going to be released from that prison in Washington County, catch a bus here to this Greyhound bus station and start his new life. But he was killed before his release.
Sometimes I think we underestimate doing a crime and going to jail. There's no guarantee you coming home. Once you get in there, it's a world in itself. Inside this world, we heard plenty of stories that can go either way. We heard people with a little bit of time say that's the most dangerous when you're around people serving 15 plus in life. We heard some people say with 15 plus years, they made it out unscratched. Like I say, it can go either way. But today, we got a case where multiple inmates was killed on the same day during the same altercation. One inmate was set to be released less than 48 hours before he was killed, who we'll later identify. It seems it's a bigger problem that's attached to an even bigger problem in our prison systems. Well-known documented gangs inside the chain gang. Some was members before incarceration. Some was after. Some joined for protection. And for some, that's all they know. In this video, we're going to highlight the 2 well-known gangs that's a part of this story, who seem to got into a brawl that quickly escalated inside a jail that we'll later identify, that had inmates brawling that wasn't even a part of both gangs. Some would say the gangs we'll later identify as no strangers to these type of riots in recent history. As mentioned in this video, we're going to talk about that problem that became public, the victims who lost their lives, speak on how they got incarcerated, and of course, pay our respects in the process. But before we go over this one, I want you guys to remember, I don't give you no angle. I just give you the story. So with that being said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're going to jump right to it. 3 are dead, and a dozen hospitalized after violence at Georgia's Washington State Prison on Sunday, January 11, 2026. Now, for those who are wondering, Washington State Prison is often called WSP, Davisboro, Georgia, a rural Washington County. 1991 it opened, with the security level being close security. Houses some of Georgia's most dangerous inmates, with the capacity of 1,500 inmates. As we all know, managed by Georgia's Department of Corrections. WSP is considered one of Georgia's most violent state prisons, especially during peak years of gang conflict. After doing my research, Georgia DOC intelligence and court filings have repeatedly identified active gang structures inside WSP. 2 were later identified for this story. Gangster Disciples, GD, Bloods, Crips, Ghostface Gangsters, GFG, White Supremacist gangs, and independent street crews align with larger organizations. Now, key facts is that the gangs control contraband flow, including drugs, phones, and weapons. Green light orders, hits, are often coordinated inside prison but carried out both inside and outside. Many gang conflicts at WSP are tied to street beefs, especially from Atlanta, Macon, Savannah, and Augusta. 4 months ago, they tried to expose the recent uprising in drones dropping off drugs.
Organized crime operation, and it's happening right here in central Georgia. Washington County Sheriff says they are battling a sophisticated criminal network operating all around the state. Nearly half of the suspects in Sheriff Joel Cochran's county jail are charged in drone operations. Hunter King explains to us how Sheriff Cochran says groups use the drones to smuggle contraband into the state prison.
Washington County's sheriff says they respond to drone activity near the state prison almost every other week. Sergeant C.J. Davis describes what they find.
Marijuana, tobacco, methamphetamine, clothing, food, phones.
Davis has worked at the sheriff's office for 8 years. He arrested 4 suspects in October.
Then food, phones.
Davis has worked at the sheriff's office for 8 years. He arrested 4 suspects in October during a drone drop operation. Deputies recovered a drone, a controller, cellophane-wrapped packages, and a phone.
One car was actually the driver car of the drone and the illegal contraband, and one car was actually the drone pilots, as you so to speak.
The operations involve people from different parts of the state. Sheriff Joel Cochran says gangs run these criminal networks from inside Georgia prisons. He says the contraband phones enable inmates to commit crimes from their cells.
They're running scams from this jail, coordinating illegal activity through gang involvement with drugs, intimidating witnesses.
The sheriff's office has made arrests in 17 drone drop cases this year. He says 74 of the 170 inmates in the county jail face charges related to prison drop cases. That's 44% of the jail population.
This is a huge criminal operation being run from within the Georgia State Prison facility.
He says only 2 Washington County residents have faced arrests in these cases over the past 5 to 6 years. The sheriff says most suspects come from other parts of Georgia. Reporting in Washington County, Hunter King, 13, WMAZ News.
Now, during the holidays, this same jail had went viral after a clip has surfaced to the public of what seemed to be another gang dispute. One of these gang members that was housed during that situation and possibly involved is a gang member who promotes drugs, phones, basically contraband, while incarcerated on social media. He's also an aspiring rapper, and according to his transcript, a gangster disciple, also known as a GD. His real name, Teddy Jackson, 27 years old. His rap name is 2 Clips Take Away the C with a K. He's known for doing music videos or at least thrillers, while inside Washington County Prison.
Why they don't trust them? Demon child, nigga. Hey, shit all facts, nigga. Free God. Hey, look, before I pay for me a drip, bitch, I go do that shit myself. Niggas hold the boys, ain't never do me nothing. Anytime I had a drop, I let my young and DJ jump. Niggas fucking can't even go. I think it's time them niggas pump. You a no-low like my home, don't know about thug, but I got gum. You slap me out your shit and take a stand out to your arm. I got 5 baby mamas, wonder why I ain't welcome. I was locked inside that box, I had to jam my dick with lotion. I put no cut on this shit, I pop her ass to get me loaded. She gon' put me like a freeze to break off, I keep it player. I got drip on me right now, I'm missing car out with Chanel. And she blind and she petite, and she my kind of keep me staring. I'm a lover in the sheets, but in the streets I get my man. Talking one I know she get so close, I shake your hand. He was talking, now he got a husband. Put the gas to the floor and I put out. Told my mama ain't no more than put out. Know they listen, I know what to put out.
Now for the last 6 years, Teddy been locked up. Now 27 years old since 21. He was arrested in 2019 alongside 4 other individuals inside a Macon home on the 2800 block of Blunt Street. The Bibbs County Sheriff's Office say 4 of the men were felons and had firearms in their possession. It was around 3:40 p.m. Deputies went to the home to serve warrants on 21-year-old Teddy Dwayne Jackson. When deputies arrived, they found 4 other males in the house with Jackson. According to them, they located 4 firearms along with drugs in the residence, and all 5 subjects were taken into custody at the time. At the moment, they didn't have a bomb, but eventually they did. Jackson went on a run. He was eventually apprehended 2 months later. He was taken to Bibb County Jail and charged with 2 counts of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, 3 counts of aggravated assault, criminal use of an article with altered ID mark, and possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, and probation violation. And unfortunately, Jackson, he was one of the individuals who was allegedly a part of the GD side against the Bloods, who got into an altercation and lost his life. May he rest in peace. Another alleged member was a guy named Jimmy Lee Trammell. He was older, 42 years old, as mentioned, allegedly a part of the GDs. He'd been locked up since 2012, 13 years ago, for burglary in the first degree. He was set to be released on January 14th, 2026. According to Jimmy Aunt, he was transferred to Washington State Prison recently ahead of his scheduled release Wednesday. She said the warden had called Trammell's brother late Sunday to tell him that Trammell had been fatally stabbed in a fight. May he rest in peace, and love and condolences to his family. Unofficial word of his death had already reached the family from an inmate with a contraband cell phone. Now the third victim in his prison hide was Ahmad Hatcher, just 23 years old. Hatcher was serving 20 years for aggravated assault in Richmond County. May he rest in peace, and love and condolences to his family. It was alleged that he allegedly joined the Bloods gang. Apparently, all 3 died as mentioned, as a fight broke out at Washington State Prison at around 1:30 p.m. on Sunday. The press release said the staff tried to clear the visitation area after the altercation started. Apparently, this happened in front of several family members, which intensified the fight. No visitors were injured during the brawl, but according to the press release, the disturbance was under control after an hour and a half, 3 p.m. The GDC said 14 additional people, 13 inmates and 1 correctional officer were injured during the fight. Love and prayers stay away.
Investigation is underway tonight as 3 inmates are dead and a correctional officer injured. That's after an altercation at the Washington State Prison Sunday night. The men and the prison are on the screen behind me right here. Ahmad Hatcher, Jimmy Trammell, and Teddy Jackson died in what officials believe was a gang-related fight. Hatcher was serving 20 years related to an aggravated assault from here in Richmond County. Jimmy Trammell was serving 20 years for first-degree burglary out of Fulton County, and Teddy Jackson was serving 10 years for aggravated assault in Bibb County. Maggie Fitzgerald reports from the Washington State Prison tonight.
Inside Washington State Prison, a Sunday brawl left 3 inmates dead and families searching for answers. But an eyewitness telling us today it all happened inside the prison's visitation area, where she says a group of inmates burst through the door, bloodied and armed, leaving visitors scrambling.
It's really just now hitting me how dangerous it really was, how much worse it could have been.
Tonight, an eyewitness says it all happened in seconds. A routine Sunday visit with a loved one at Washington State Prison turning into a nightmare. The witness asked to remain anonymous for her safety. But she says something felt off when she saw guards bolt out of the visitation area Sunday afternoon, leaving one female officer inside.
Something going on. We heard very loud, almost yelling coming from the walkie-talkies. You could hear her say, "Don't open that door. You can't come in here."
Shouting from the guard, first directed at inmates deeper into the facility, then to visitors, telling them to get out. The witness says the group overpowered a guard, taking his keys to then break into the visiting room.
The prisoners that were trying to come through the door were right behind her, hot on her heels, because there's blood and weapons, and they just busted through a door. They're standing between us and our loved ones.
The riot-style attack left 3 men dead, including 23-year-old Ahmad Hatcher. Hatcher's family says they are demanding answers and accountability, claiming he had warned his mother about unsafe conditions inside the prison.
A piece of my heart just was torn out of my chest. He was scared of his life. They were a cause of my son to get killed because they wasn't doing their job.
And Sheriff Joel Cochran says the scene was secure and all inmates were accounted for by 6 p.m. on Sunday. The GDC is investigating.
As we said at the very beginning, it's a world in itself inside this world, fam. When you step into them prison walls, 4x4, nothing but concrete, it hit different. And the facts are this: we talked about a young man who was in his early 20s, serving 20. A man who served 13 from a 20-year sentence, expected to be released in just 2 days. Then he lose his life. A man who served 7 of his 10 years, who looked like he was living well in jail, loses his as well. No expiration date. And in jail, no such thing as running. I'm sending 11 prayers to everyone who was affected by this story. Once again, rest in peace to the victim. Fam, this was the latest story of a jail in a rural area in Georgia that housed some of the most violent inmates you can think of, had went into a riot between 2 gangs that couldn't be controlled until almost 2 hours in a confined area while in front of visitors, leaving 3 dead, 13 injured, including 1 staff member. It's unfortunate. Let me know how you guys feel about this one in the comments.